We've officially crossed the halfway point of the season, and a lot of things have changed since week 1. So it's time that we update our rest of the season rankings for running backs and wide receivers. Maybe you're looking to make a deal. Maybe your team is performing great so far. You just want to strengthen it a little bit. Or maybe your team's been underperforming and you need to find a stud that's going to help take you to the fantasy playoffs. But today I've got my top 36 rest of the season rankings for running backs and then top 40 for wide receivers. Why the difference? I honestly could not get it down to 36. I had to do 40 for wide receivers. And we're going to go 6 players at a time, starting with the running back position. And it makes a whole lot of sense that Jonathan Taylor would be the RB1 the rest of the way because he's been a dominating RB1 so far this season. And one thing that you'll notice on the slides is the rank of the players, but also where are they currently at in fantasy football. And then a little bit of a strength of schedule score that I put together in a document for all of our members here on the channel. And if you're not a member, so you've never seen the strength of schedule sheets, or if you are a member and you didn't know about them, essentially the lower the score, the better. And it goes based on how teams have performed against this position so far this season. There's not really a ton to go on about with Jonathan Taylor. We know he's the RB1. At 2, Bijan Robinson. He's definitely a guy that we see explosive upside from all the time. It just sucks that his own team seems to forget about him. Christian McCaffrey could end up setting more single season records for receiving work by a running back this season. So even though on the ground he may not be as dominant as he once was, he's getting more than enough volume in the air to make up for it. Jahmyr Gibbs continues to show. David Montgomery doesn't matter. He's got top 5 upside every single week and one of the most explosive running backs and one of the most explosive offenses in all of football. Josh Jacobs, a touchdown machine. And with this team getting a little bit healthier with Christian Watson, potentially moving the ball a little bit better, Josh Jacobs is going to see more opportunities in the red zone. James Cook, for the most part, has been awesome all season long. We know with the Bills, they can tend to get away from the run game a little bit, but it feels like maybe they're not doing it as much this season. Devon Achane continues to be the best player and one of the worst offenses in all of football. How this guy continues to perform as well as he does is beyond me, given the fact that that team just doesn't feel like they have a clue right now. Javonte Williams continues to showcase the touchdown ability and the volume that he gets inside that Dallas offense. He's a top 5 running back right now and a top 10 running back for us the rest of the season. Derrick Henry with 119 rushing yards and 120 rushing yards in 2 of his last 3 games. The other game was 71. We're starting to see the efficiency and the upside build again. Hopefully it continues, but I would love to see him score a little bit more too. Saquon Barkley is coming off a great performance against his former team, the New York Giants, but would love to see more of that upside and some more consistency throughout the rest of the season. The volume is there, but those big high upside plays just haven't been. And of course, Jalen Hurts continues to steal touchdowns. Quinshon Judkins has one of the best rest of season strength of schedule scores for any running back on this list. And with how he's performed so far, I felt it was needed to put him inside the top 12. It looks like a lot of people kind of have him just outside the top 12 right now, but I'm going to roll with him. He's been so good so far this season, and his schedule the rest of the way is super clean. Give me top 12 upside the rest of the year. It's crazy that Ashton Jeanty gets as much volume as he does, considering the fact that Geno Smith continues to turn the ball over an awful lot. Right now, the volume he's getting is great for his floor, but if Smith continues to turn the ball over, that's going to continue to kill Jeanty's ceiling. And before we move into our RB2s, I gotta thank our friends over at Chubby's for continuing to sponsor our Saturday videos this season. And we've been more than excited to help them launch their new NFL line of Chubby shirts and shorts. And the shirt might look a little crazy and it may look a little out there, but I love it. I look forward to this video every single week because it is the most comfortable I am recording any of my videos while wearing my Chubby shirt. And you better hurry, because if you want $10 off of your Chubby's order, then head on over to Chubbys.com and use code HEADLINERS. If you've got someone in your family that's a huge NFL fan and they want to rep their team the same way I rep my Lions whenever I put this shirt on, a Chubby shirt would make a great gift for any NFL fan that you have in your family. Kyren Williams at number 13, and he's a little bit more inconsistent this season than what he has been in the past, but he still is a guy that offers top 12 potential every single week given the offense that he plays in. Bucky Irving Irving at number 14 may seem a little bit high considering the fact we still don't have confirmation on when he'll return, but the hope is it will be after the bye week. And if he can get back to practice next week and he can get back on the field for week 10, he's got a shot to really be not just a top 14 option, but back inside the top 12 as well. We saw some great upside from Breece Hall last week, running for 133 yards, and the first time he's ran for more than 100 yards since week 1. Now, after the bye, he's got some tough matchups. He's going to have to face Cleveland, New England, and Atlanta, but he's also going to have Baltimore, Miami, New Orleans the rest of the way as well. So a little bit of a mixed bag of what we could get from him the rest of the season, but it's good to see his upside hit right before the bye. DeAndre Swift has been playing very well, but with the inconsistencies of Caleb Williams, I'm still hard pressed to go all in on DeAndre Swift being a top 12 option the rest of the season. I think if you own DeAndre Swift or you're looking to pick him up for your team, expecting RB2 numbers is way better. And then when you do get RB1 numbers, you're going to feel great about it. Jaylen Warren continues to be the RB1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he missed a game a little bit earlier in the season, but hopefully the rest of the way we can see him inside the top 24 with a little bit more ceiling moving forward. J.K. Dobbins continues to be a very safe bet in my mind. He's got touchdown potential every single week, and he's got the ability to go over 70 rushing yards. That's the definition of an RB2 or a flex option that you're not going to hate. The emergence of RJ Harvey will be the question about whether or not he's a top 18 running back or a top 12 option the rest of the year. Moving on to 19 through 24, and we'll start with Chase Brown at number 19. And having Joe Flacco in town has certainly helped Chase Brown, and it's helped him reach his ceiling a little bit more often. Is it the ceiling we saw last year? Absolutely not. But it has put him back inside the top 20 running backs, and I think that's a pretty safe bet for where he'll spend the rest of the year. David Montgomery has not presented the upside this season that we have saw in the past. Does it have a whole lot to do with Jahmyr Gibbs? Not really, because they're still splitting touches and Montgomery is still getting opportunities. He just hasn't scored nearly as much, and it does feel like there have been some games where defenses have just completely taken him out of the process. With the unfortunate injury to Cam Skattebo, Tyrone Tracy's going to make his way just outside the top 20. He's a guy for me that has the potential to be a solid RB2 the rest of the season. Some explosive playmaking ability, the ability to catch some passes, but he's got to keep the football in his hands. We cannot fumble it. Travis Etienne started off the season hot, but unfortunately he has faded quite a bit over the last few weeks here. Does he still have some potential upside? Yes, because he brings big play ability. But with the strength of schedule for the rest of the season coming in at 2.72, he also has one of the tougher schedules left for guys in this area. Omarion Hampton is going to be at number 23, and there's no clear-cut timeline on when he'll actually be back. But it feels like Jim Harbaugh is hinting at the fact that Hampton will return at some point this season. And when he does, we could see some of that top playmaking ability that he showcased earlier in the year before that injury. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, with a 1.81 rest of season strength of schedule score, has the best strength of schedule score of anybody inside the top 36. And I really had to fight to put him up as high as I did because we haven't seen a ton of good performances yet from him. But with a lot of really good matchups coming up, finding him just inside the top 24 I do not think is unrealistic. At number 25, I've got Rico Dowdle. A little bit of a spoiler alert here. You're not going to see Chuba Hubbard's name in the rest of the show. I just couldn't put him inside the top 36. Even when he returned last week, Rico Dowdle still looks like the most explosive running back in this backfield, and David Canales has hinted at the fact that Dowdle will probably start to see some more touches based on the fact that he has looked the best so far. Could that change at any point in time? Yes, but you got to give the benefit of the doubt to Dowdle to begin with. Alvin Kamara is going to remain inside the top 36 for me as of right now. His floor continues to bottom out week after week, and a lot of fantasy owners out there don't even feel like they can start him anymore. But maybe the move to Tyler Shuck at quarterback will spice things up for him a little bit. I'm going to leave Kamani Vidal at number 27 because I still think we get a couple of solid games from him before Omarion Hampton is fully back. If Omarion Hampton ends up coming back over the next couple of weeks, then Kamani Vidal is going to lose a lot of fantasy relevancy. But if you own him, you're still going to be able to use him for now. At number 28, Ramondre Stevenson. And for whatever reason, New England continues to roll with him. It isn't entirely shocking to me because I did tell everyone at the beginning of the season that Ramondre Stevenson was going to be an issue for TreVeyon Henderson. But TreVeyon Henderson has also looked better at times. So it is shocking that they don't try to get him more of a workload. We'll see what happens moving forward, but Ramondre Stevenson for now still has a decent amount of touchdown potential to be a flex option. Kenneth Walker at number 29. Right now, Zach Charbonnet only has one run this season of 10 or more yards. Kenneth Walker has at least one run of 10 or more yards in every single game this year. Why he doesn't get more looks is beyond me. Aaron Jones at number 30, if he stays healthy the rest of the season, I do think you're going to see at least a split with Jordan Mason. And speaking of Jordan Mason, he will be at number 31. I do think Jordan Mason is still going to see some decent work from time to time, but I think it's going to be very dependent on what the game script looks like. Do I think Jordan Mason is out of the question as being a fantasy viable player the rest of the year? No, I don't, but I do think it's going to be a wait and see approach with him for now. Number 32, RJ Harvey. I think he's going to be a guy from time to time will have a solid game. I don't think he's consistently fantasy viable, but for those of you that own J.K. Dobbins, you should have RJ Harvey. And if you have Harvey, you at least need to hold on to him even if you don't have Dobbins. Zach Charbonnet at number 33. And with Charbonnet, he's going to get touchdowns from time to time. He continues to see that work in the goal line, but he's not explosive and he doesn't have high upside. Woody Marks at number 34, and I really felt like I could have gone higher with this guy. In fact, I feel like I could have made a case to put him closer to RB26 than what he is right now. So if you disagree with this ranking, I probably don't really disagree with you. Couple of things at play. Number one, Nick Chubb still isn't going anywhere. He's still going to see touches. And his strength of schedule the rest of the season, 2.66. Not awful, but definitely could be a lot better and more in his favor. TreVeyon Henderson at number 35. Based on what we saw from him last week, I feel New England at some point this season is going to start getting him more touches. At number 36, Tyjae Spears. And even with a pretty difficult strength of schedule score the rest of the way, and the fact that Tony Pollard is still getting a lot of touches, sneaking him inside the top 36 here may not make a ton of sense. But the one thing I do like for Tyjae Spears is that Tennessee seems to always be playing a negative game script, and that's where he's going to excel. And before we jump into wide receivers, I just got to let everybody know, I do have my rankings done for the top 24 quarterbacks and top 18 tight ends, but those are going to be for members. So if you're interested in becoming a member and getting a lot of that extra content that we do all of the time, plus Jake's picks for Underdog on a weekly basis, think about hitting that join button down below and getting access to all of that exclusive content for as little as $5 a month. The top 36 running backs, and it only took us 12 minutes, we're right on schedule. Let's hop into the top 40 wide receivers now. And Jamar Chase is at wide receiver 1. Whether it's Joe Flacco the rest of the season or Joe Burrow comes back at some point, Jamar Chase should see plenty of targets. The same thing can be said for Puka Nacua. Plenty of targets, great ceiling, great floor. Jackson Smith-Njigba, same thing. Great ceiling, great floor. These are the three guys that it feels like right now you put in your lineup, you know exactly what you're getting. And number 4, CeeDee Lamb. He has a really good opportunity because his defense sucks and Dak Prescott is going to have to throw the ball a ton this year. And number 5, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Seeing a good amount of volume, but the most important thing is his looks inside the red zone. He's scoring a lot of touchdowns. Rashee Rice at number 6. This might seem a little bit high, but he clearly, his comeback is the wide receiver 1. And even though he's got a bunch of guys around him that can help, that's all they're going to do. They're going to help from time to time. Moving on to 7 through 12, and Justin Jefferson is going to come in at number 7 for me, which is substantially higher than where he is at right now. But the hope is that J.J. McCarthy being back from injury after a couple of games to really kind of get himself back in the flow, will start to see some of that growth that we didn't quite see at the beginning of the year. Drake London, we've seen some high highs, we've seen some low lows. Unfortunately, he's been banged up twice this season. Hopefully there's more highs coming his way if he stays healthy. Rome Odunze at number 9. He's got tremendous upside, and even though Caleb Williams has been super inconsistent, he continues to look at his wide receiver 1. Emeka Ibuka at wide receiver 10. He's a little bit lower for us right now. Yes, there are some guys banged up. Chris Godwin, does he end up returning? What does the run game look like when Bucky Irving gets healthy? There's a few question marks I have, but Emeka Ibuka is still a guy that you should be playing and playing consistently. Devontae Adams at number 11, and even when Puka comes back, Devontae Adams has really good touchdown potential and still a solid floor given the amount of volume he sees. Nico Collins at number 12 does not have an overly tough strength of schedule score the rest of the way. Hopefully this offense continues to build over the last couple of performances, and him and CJ Stroud can start connecting now that Collins is out of the concussion protocol. 13 through 18 is going to start with George Pickens, and I like his potential upside the rest of the season. I just think his floor is a little bit lower now that CeeDee Lamb is back, and Lamb will see a majority of the targets. Jalen Waddle at number 14. He continues to play very well since the Tyreek Hill injury, and it's good to see him showcasing some of that wide receiver 1 ability. Garrett Wilson at number 15. I think there's still some uncertainty at the quarterback position the rest of the way with the New York Jets, but hopefully whoever it is continues to give Garrett Wilson a ton of targets. Michael Pittman Jr. at number 16. Do I think he has the potential to be a top 12 wide receiver the rest of the season? Yes, I do. I just think there's a few guys in front of him that we have ranked that have a little bit of a higher ceiling. Plus his strength of schedule score at a 2.81 is one of the higher scores in this area and one of the tougher ones. Devontae Smith at number 17, because he's going to either give you top 12 potential or he's going to give you potential outside the top 36. Courtland Sutton at number 16. I think this is accurate compared to what we've seen so far from this offense. Some days Courtland Sutton's going to be the guy, some days another person will be the guy. That hurts his consistent ceiling, but you're still going to have some big games from him. And number 19, DK Metcalf. And I think we've seen some inconsistencies with the ceiling so far this season, but he's still getting a ton of targets, and that's what we want. Ladd McConkey at number 20, and he gets a huge jump from kind of where we had him ranked earlier in the season, because he's finally back out there as the guy. And one thing to keep in mind, and we'll talk about it with the other guys, is that when 3 wide receiver sets, that's the only time that Keenan Allen is on the field right now. Over the last couple of weeks, Keenan Allen in 2 wide receiver sets is not out there. A.J. Brown at number 21. The ceiling is still a possibility every single week. It would just be great if his floor wasn't so atrocious. Zay Flowers at number 22. You can bank on him for some decent targets every single week, and you can bank on him getting some big plays from time to time, but he hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1. Ted McMillan at number 23 has had a solid floor based on targets all season long. He just doesn't see that big of a ceiling. And on top of that, his rest of season strength score at 3.09 is one of the toughest ones here. T. Higgins at number 24. He's on the up and up. After a terrible start to the season, this is a guy that's got touchdown potential every single week. And even though Jamar Chase is going to see all of the volume, it seems like, T. Higgins is a threat to score on any given play. 25 through 30, starting with Brian Thomas Jr. I've got him ranked a little bit higher than where he currently is with fantasy scoring, but we've seen a little bit of uptick in production over the last couple of games for him. Hopefully he can keep that going after his injury scare, and he'll be good to go. And with a strength of schedule score at only 2.18, he's got a solid opportunity. Chris Olave at number 26 has to be one of the biggest fallers, and even though I've loved his production so far, I gotta wonder if it keeps up. The move to Tyler Shuck may not be the best for him, and his strength of schedule score the rest of the way is a 3.09. Jordan Addison at number 27, and he's been pretty good since coming back. Actually, I don't even want to say pretty good. He's been really good since coming back from his suspension. J.J. McCarthy obviously is going to offer some concerns. Justin Jefferson is going to be the number 1 target on that team. Does T.J. Hawkinson get involved at any point in time as well? He's got a good strength of schedule score the rest of the way. Jordan Addison, to me, is a guy that can be inside the top 24 very easily. I just don't know if he has the ceiling we would like. Stephon Diggs at number 28, I think can become the most consistent wide receiver in New England the rest of the season. I don't think he's going to be a guy that we want to put in our lineup every single week, but I think he's going to be a guy that we won't hate putting in our lineup every single week. 29, Keenan Allen. Even though he's the wide receiver 8 right now, he gets a huge drop here for me. And a lot of people may not agree with this, but you take a look at the numbers with him and Quentin Johnston and Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen is not playing in 2 wide receiver snaps. That is keeping him off the field quite a bit. Now, when he's on the field for 3 wide receiver snaps, he's definitely getting targets. So he's got the potential potential to have a decent ceiling every single week, but the less he's on the field, the lower his floor is. Marvin Harrison Jr. gets a little bit of a bump here, but honestly, it's about the inconsistencies with him and Kyler Murray. He should be a lot higher, but I just can't do it. 31 through 36, Deebo Samuel at number 31. He needs to stay healthy, and him and Jaden Daniels need to be on the field together more often. If they can do that, things will end up being fine. But given the fact that he's been banged up, Jaden Daniels has been banged up, Terry McLaurin has been banged up, I just can't go any higher with him. Wan'Dale Robinson has had a couple of really big games, but his floor is way lower than what his ceiling is, and I think we need to play to his floor way more often. And he was just mentioned a minute ago, Terry McLaurin. I would love to have him and Deebo higher, but again, it comes down to injuries, and the fact that he's going to miss again this week with a quad injury again is just not something that we love to see. Ricky Pearsall at number 34. Now, his rest of season score is okay. His playoff score is great at 1.33. So once you get to the playoffs, if Ricky Pearsall is healthy, you definitely got a guy that could help you win a fantasy championship. Kayshon Boutte at 35, lots of touchdown potential, but hopefully he does not disappear for a stretch like he did earlier in the year. Xavier Worthy at number 36. It's the big playability that at least keeps me a little bit intrigued right now. I don't think it's out of the question to see him potentially this high because his teams start to bite on Rice a little bit more now that he's officially back and pay attention to other people like Travis Kelce. Xavier Worthy could have a stretch of games where he goes off. And then at the very end here, I had 4 guys that I just couldn't push outside the top 36. So I decided to give you top 36 plus a bonus 4 instead. Quentin Johnston, big playability. He's on the field in 2 wide receiver sets. Should he be higher than Keenan Allen? Maybe, and you could make that switch if you feel like it, but I do think Keenan Allen could give you a better floor every single week. Khalil Shakir at number 38. He's a guy that doesn't have the best ceiling in the world, but he's got a decent floor, and he's the number 1 option for the most part in Buffalo. Troy Franklin at number 39. He's wide receiver 25 right now, so you could make the argument that he should be higher, but I think it depends on how long Marvin Mims ends up missing as well. And at number 40, Trey Tucker. He may be the wide receiver 1 in Las Vegas very soon if Jacoby Myers is traded, so I feel like we needed to put him in here as well. Headliner Nation, there are my top 36 running backs and top 40 wide receivers for the rest of the season, and hopefully all of this information gives you a little bit of knowledge to help you start making some decisions on your fantasy team. Is there somebody that you need to drop because you should be keeping somebody else? Is there somebody still out there on your waiver wire like a Trey Tucker that you want to pick up and maybe just stash to see what happens? Or maybe there's a trade that you need to make that's going to greatly improve your team. Whatever it may be, hopefully this information is going to help you get to a fantasy championship. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.
Analytics off the chain, all the channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game.